Summer's a gift. The gift of days that last a little longer. A brighter state of mind. So gift yourself a new Kia at the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. With specially tagged vehicles including the Sorrento, Sportage, Carnival, as well as the Niro Hybrid. All backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. So the gift of summer can keep on giving for summers to come. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Event ends 7/6/26. See dealer for warranty details.
Hi, I'm Renee Scherzer, and welcome to the Lightwork Podcast, a place for conversations about leadership, faith, healing, and the deeper work that shapes who we become. Lightwork is the inner work that grounds us. It's learning to find purpose even in life's hardest moments. Now, today's conversation is one that touches nearly every family in some way. Mental health and addiction don't discriminate. They affect people we love, families we admire, and communities everywhere. Yet too often, these struggles remain hidden. Today, I'm joined by my dear friend, John Hornacek. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
John is a father who walked beside his son, Ethan, through years of addiction. He celebrated victories and recovery and then experienced the unimaginable. Ethan was born on April 24th, 1999, along with his twin brother, Carson. On October 25th, 2020, at just almost 21 years of age, his life came to an end. While Ethan's life was far too short, it was filled with love, courage, resilience, and a father who never gave up. Today's about remembering Ethan and understanding addiction and mental health through the eyes of a father who loved his son unconditionally. It's about offering hope to families who may be walking in a similar journey and reminding those who are struggling that they are never beyond help and beyond hope. So, John, thank you for trusting us with Ethan's story, and really looking forward to this conversation.
Me too.
So I would love for everyone just to learn about Ethan, because when I remember him, so John and I go back from tutor time days when our kids were little tykes, and just this happy, smiley, just young man. Can you share a little bit about Ethan?
Yeah, I'd love to. From the day we had them, both of them, they were, gifts, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Ethan and Carson both just loving kids, fun kids. Ethan was probably a little bit more of a class clown in character, but that's what made both of them so unique. Best friends, inseparable growing up. They shared the same crib.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. For a long time. And then we would get separate beds when they started to grow up, and they would always climb in each other's beds. So
that's
always.
Sweet. And didn't they do sports? What did I see them in?
Yeah. It was interesting because I played baseball in college, basketball a little bit.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Oh, I figured basketball.
I played baseball at Illinois State, and then 1 year of basketball at Scottsdale Community College.
Okay, and Fighting Artichoke.
Yeah. And my brother played in the NBA for 15, 16 years. Yeah. So we were always a huge sports family, all my brothers. I had one brother was drafted by the Dodgers, played minor league baseball for like 12 years. Another brother was basketball player in college, All-American, awesome. Wow. So our boys just love sports, and we were owned a golf store for 30 years.
Oh, yeah. We went there often.
They never wanted to play golf.
Go to your other store.
But they were baseball players. I coached them all through Little League and T-ball.
That's what it was.
It was pretty cool. It's interesting. We just had a girl who came to work for us, and I coached her kids in Little League.
And share what you have today, because we go there all the time.
Yeah, we have 2 men's clothing stores, Scottsdale Men's Shop in DC Ranch, and Carter's Men's Clothing at 44th and Camelback.
Awesome, because anytime I need anything for Chris, we go there. That's why I see your beautiful wife. She's not always there, but so you share that relationship as a twin, and that closeness and the connection that they shared, and I think that's beautiful. And what is one thing that maybe is a memory that you and Carson always go to when you think of Ethan, or something that makes you smile when you think about who Ethan was in those younger years?
The boys had this thing, which even I had parents would come up to me. We would drop them off at school, and every single time in front of everyone, they would always tell us they love us, like scream it. Like we would drop them off at school, and they walk away with all their friends, and then they would turn around and be like, "Love you." Like they never. It was always said every day, all the time, which is like one of my all-time favorite memories.
Yes.
Even they did it all the way through high school.
Well, because most stop in first grade.
Yeah, I believe it.
Because they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So
That's a good
really
one.
Super sweet.
That is really sweet. They were always sweet. They were always smiling, and every time I saw them, and it's just really.
Well, that was one big thing when me and Brigitte started dating, and she's like, my son will say it to me, but not like that, and just out loud in front of everyone, no matter what. But every single time we left each other, they would always say it.
I love that. And for those who don't know you, you have a fantastic wife, Brigitte, who I'm a big fan of, who has been an integral talk about showing up.
Sure.
Just such a rock for you, and what a gift in this, and that she was part of your journey and story. Because I see who she is and how fantastic she is, and it just, as I got to learn more as we were preparing for today, it just made me just feel so much more respect for the both of you.
Well, she never would have got through it.
Yeah. Well, we talked yesterday, or I guess it was Tuesday, about, the realization. Now, for those listening who don't know where their boys grow up and where I grew up, and we grew up in Scottsdale, or our kids grew up in Scottsdale. So most people think the struggling happens in other places and families that don't have the means.
Right.
And, this all happened in North Scottsdale.
Sure.
Is where the struggle started. And so to those listening who think, not my child, this is something that is happening. And I think we were talking about stats. It was about 17% of kids over the age of 12 are being impacted in some form. And then when you talked about prescription drugs, that goes up to 80%, I think you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Above 80. I mean, you said it perfectly. It doesn't discriminate.
It doesn't discriminate, not at all.
And you see, sadly, celebrities, athletes, moms, dads.
Yes.
It's awful.
Yeah. There was a period even in middle school, and that's what we'll start talking about through middle school and then high school, where I started seeing it happening, where when they started getting into that phase of growth and struggle, and that's where like the bullying tends to happen. Sure. And the escapes start to happen. So for Ethan, he went through the school. He had lots of friends, very close with his brother. And then he went to a very large high school. I think it's about 4,000 kids.
Pinnacle's gigantic.
It's gigantic. Yeah. And it's in Scottsdale, or maybe the address is Phoenix. Right. But it is a school that all of us who live here know well. And, what happened, if you don't mind sharing, where the struggle began? And before he stepped foot on high school, was there anything that you noticed that was maybe that middle school was causing a struggle, or that maybe he was starting to withdraw from the friends and that young, smiley kid that he always was? No.
That's what's so confusing.
That is confusing.
I mean, I know kind of... We had this as we were going, me and Ethan's mom were going through our divorce. He was always loved playing baseball. By the time we got to 8th grade, Carson had stopped playing. Mm-hmm. But Ethan was really good. Yeah. Made all the all-star teams. He was just really, he loved it.
Yeah.
Right. And we had an agreement that he was going to try out for sports, baseball at Pinnacle. So we got all prepared, everything was fine. He was all on these travel teams with all the other players. And then I called him after school. How did the tryouts go? He goes, me and Mom decided I don't have to play. And that's when just a little voice in my head, God, he's got to do something. Like that's when things don't go well. And then it was right about then we started noticing him hanging out with not his normal group of kids. One time I came home from work early, like at lunchtime, and he was walking down the street with a buddy of his as a freshman in high school smoking a cigarette. I pulled the car out. I jumped out of the car.
Because he's 14, 15 at
right.
this time.
Like, what are you doing? Because he thought I didn't see, but he knew I saw. And that's the first thing I remember of going, oh, this could, like, I want to say to myself, hey, this is not a good start, but he was still happy. He was still good. I mean, still a great kid.
And freshman year is a hard year.
Oh boy, yeah.
And, deciding not to play a sport because, of our experience with our kids. And I know that voice where you're like, you've got to know, you kind of want to keep forcing them to do that or replace it with something else to fill it. And Ethan just found a new set of friends.
Very much so. And not a good group of friends.
No. Well, and I think at that point too, now this was, your boys never had a challenge or a problem. They're going normal stuff, I'm sure. Right. At that point too, had you had any experience with addiction or mental illness or anything at that point?
Nothing whatsoever.
Nothing. And most of us don't or have resources.
Right.
So did you, at that point then when it started with the cigarette, what was that next situation or where it started escalating? Or how far long after was it?
It wasn't very far, much longer after that. I had gotten a phone call from my next door neighbor at our house who was assistant chief of police for Scottsdale. Great guy. And he goes, hey, your son's name has come up at school. Unbeknownst to me and almost probably most parents, they have like 10 undercover cops posing as students like 21 Jump Street at Pinnacle.
Do they? I didn't know that.
I'm sure it's public knowledge, but it's great.
But you don't know it if it never affects you.
No, at all. And so one of the undercover police officers and John, our next door neighbor, came over to the house and sat down with me and Ethan. And we didn't know what to expect. I had a feeling Ethan knew what to expect. But they just went on just asking him questions. And after about the third question, the police officer said, we know everything that's going on. We're on all your social medias, all your friends' social medias, and we hear and see everything. So we know the answer to these questions. You need to be honest with us.
Wow.
And they wanted Ethan to talk about, I guess, some drug dealer at school, and he wouldn't. And they said, because we're friends with your parents, we're giving you one chance. Next time you'll be arrested. And I watched Ethan as a freshman just kind of do what he wanted to do, and I knew then I was scared.
And this was all new to you because here he was, an all-star baseball player.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're sitting with your neighbor who's sharing with you something that was never a part of your life. Right. I can only imagine how scary that must be. There's enough challenges that you go through as a parent, and that is one of the heightened ones.
Was not prepared for that whatsoever.
Did the school give you any resources
Zero.
Of what to do? Zero.
No. And we discussed this the other day, and then got kicked out of Pinnacle for drugs. And it was literally just your son's expelled. And that was
this the freshman year?
Yeah. So then
This was all happening
quickly
within a school year.
Yeah. I remember one time I went over to my ex-wife's house and tossed his room. Couldn't find anything. And then I tossed his bed. And in between the bed, I found cough syrup and little baggies that were empty.
Yeah.
But it was bad.
Yeah.
Enough to where you could see something bad was starting.
And then I'm sure for you, without resources, you're Googling.
Yeah.
And looking up what resources are available. What did you find when you were Googling?
I mean, and think about it sounds weird, but even 12 years ago when it started, 13 years ago, I don't even know if Google was that essential. I don't remember doing that.
And and during this time you have Carson.
Right.
You have businesses to run.
Right.
And this wasn't on a predictable schedule.
No.
So just random hours you're getting calls.
Right. And not knowing what to do. And then going through a divorce, and it was a bad divorce, and there was zero interest of parenting together, especially during that time. And the boys could feel it, and they knew it.
Yeah.
I remember the hard part when I decided to leave and having to tell the boys that me and your mom were getting divorced, I was seeing a therapist at the time, secretly, not telling anybody. I didn't tell anyone.
That's
probably for like a year. Yeah. I didn't know. I was unhappy. I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I mean, you don't envision getting married that ever ends in a divorce. No. And we were married 16 years, 17. And it was just a really hard time for everybody.
As I told you after talking with you, I always respected you immensely, but I respected you even more. My first husband, who had Patrick, and so going through a divorce, I couldn't even imagine to go through a more difficult divorce on top of what you're going through here. Sure. It's just, how did you get through each day?
I don't even really know. Mm-hmm. I was scared every day.
Yeah.
Because you get every phone call, and I used to sleep by my phone by my bed, which I don't do anymore. Good. But it was like every day was something.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if it was the kids or the divorce and it just made everything more difficult all at once.
Oh, I can only imagine. And they say, trying to think of the gentleman says this, he says, we walk through these periods of fog. And sometimes what people do to get out of the fog is try to do the quickest thing, whether it's themselves turning to addiction or themselves trying to find a quick fix to get them out of it. And you just plowed through it,
right?
Which was pretty remarkable. And I think you were blessed.
Well, we don't have much choice.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, especially when you're the one who's taking care of, you need to be the strength in the family. Now, as I mentioned earlier, and we said, this all happened, in Scottsdale, Arizona. Right. I mean, having a dealer was available at a very popular school that I know so many kids go to. And this isn't somewhere, where people always assume it is. So, aside from that, are there any misconceptions that people, tend to think, or where you maybe felt judged or anything else going through this?
Well, it's now, thank God, is talked about more now.
Yeah.
I mean, back 12, 13 years ago, it was a pretty bad stigma. Mm-hmm. I mean, the parents that we had in our small community wouldn't talk to us. Like, they didn't want anything to do with us. Well, because, understandably, you have one child going through drug issues. You don't want your kid hanging out with that kid. And I get it. But I can't even tell you, I didn't have one of my friends ever reach out to us and say, can I help? Can I? And
that was one of my questions. Was
really uncomfortable for them. And listen, it's not anyone's fault. It's just, we were on an island by ourselves. And our parents, no one could understand. I mean, my parents are in their 80s. They never dealt with stuff like that, and they just couldn't understand.
My dad was the same way when we went through struggles. Yeah. Like the day of my divorce, he was actually golfing with my ex-husband. Mm-hmm. I was like, Dad, you don't do that. But the generational thing and not understanding, the showing up part, that was one question I wanted to ask you, because having gone through other challenges, we saw the lack of people showing up.
Sure.
And showing up, people think is a heavy lift, and it doesn't mean that they're going to move in with you, but what would have showing up meant to you? Like, what would have been a simple thing? Like, someone who has a friend going through this now, or a neighbor, and that is doing that, where they're scared. What would you say, advice would you give them to do of how they can show up for a family?
I think it's really simple. Mm-hmm. Are you okay?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
What can I do? Like, and it's not just someone to listen, someone to bounce something off of. Yep. Not necessarily. No one's gonna figure things out for you, but having somebody just holding you up.
Yeah. And even, what I found too is, what I try to do is think of something that would make their life easier.
Sure.
Can I go to the grocery store for
right.
you? And because, what I've learned in talking to people that have walked through journeys and having gone through journeys is when everyone says, what can I do? You're in a moment. And I don't know if you felt this way, but you couldn't even have decided. You're in a fog.
I wouldn't even know what to say to tell them. At the time, if somebody said, what can I do? And I'd say nothing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, you can't do anything.
Right.
But
So if anyone
now
listening to say,
right.
let's grab a coffee.
Yeah.
That is one thing I want everyone who's listening to take away from that is
Sure.
if you see someone going through a struggle, it's as simple as, can we grab a coffee?
Right.
Or I'm here. We love your family.
Sure.
Can we run your errands? Can we do the grocery store? Can we take your dog out? Whatever it is, but give you things that can easily shift. But
Or just send a message. Hi, thinking about you. Like that. That's the kind of thing that just goes. I mean, I had one person, and that was Brigid.
God brought her to you. What a blessing.
Yeah, very much so.
So you once, I was following your journey too on social media, and you were so beautiful. And I think I mentioned you. When I think of Ethan, I think of your hero. Mm-hmm. And one thing though you had shared at one point was, he would go through struggles, and that the recovery always lasted about 9 months. Mm-hmm. But he was battling every day.
Yeah.
Can you, for someone going through it, or maybe they have a child going through this, or they're trying to see, what should I be looking at? What does the battle look like?
Well, you just got to pay attention to your kids. Like, I hate to say overparent and being in their stuff, but you can't ever not be in their stuff, right? Enough. And it's, you get into this enabling standpoint where, and I see a lot of parents do it, and we're guilty of it. We want to be our kids' best friends. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't tell you how many times I go to like graduation parties, and all the kids are drinking. You're like, what is going on? Like, and this is the weird part about our family is me and my ex-wife and me. We always talk to the kids about drugs.
Yeah.
Like, we always talk to the kids about drugs.
Yes.
Like, we always had this thing when the kids were like, pick them up from tutor time, and they'd be in their car seats, and we would be talking and be like, what happens if you do drugs? Like, we taught the kids, you die.
Yeah.
Like, it's just as basic, simple as that is. Yeah. And we talked about it all the time. We watched movies about it, and we watched documentaries. I mean, we didn't ignore
that this was potentially something.
For sure. Yeah. And it was, so when it's happening to you and you don't know it's happening in real time, it's tough. Yeah. And I can't imagine other families going through what we went through, but I know they do.
They do. I mentioned I have a friend going through it right now. Sure. And this is something too that, it does affect the entire family. And so as you were going through this journey, how was Carson navigating this, a twin brother, and seeing what was happening with his brother?
We thought he was great. Mm-hmm. He was a great student. He was going through, when Ethan got kicked out of Pinnacle, he wanted to leave too. It was hard on him. Yeah. It was hard watching your best friend and twin brother spiraling out of control. And, I don't know, he couldn't really talk to us about it. Mm-hmm. Just probably afraid, but it affected him way more. I told a story to you the other night when I started tossing the kids' rooms all the time. Mm-hmm. And I was a kid. I hid stuff. Not drug, but I moved a big dresser, and I moved the back panel and found a notebook fell out, and it was from Carson and Carson. The one thing about our kids, they were both incredibly creative, and I don't know where they got that from, but writing. Carson filmed a short story in our house where he did all the production, movie, everything.
Oh, that's remarkable.
In our house. It was a slasher film because our kids loved scary slasher movies.
Oh, my husband does. Yes.
Crazy. And we found a notebook, and it was probably Ethan had been probably a year going through this, and Carson wrote some pretty disturbing stuff from a parent reading it of, my parents don't see me. They think I'm okay. I'm not. And all they care about is Ethan. And, it wasn't obviously never our intention to do that because they were both incredibly loved, but that shook us. Shook us hard. Yeah. Like we felt failures.
So when going through this, that's some great advice to say your other children may be operating fine, meeting all the metrics they're supposed to meet, but be there and check in on them as well.
Almost more than, because they're kids going through. I mean, we're adults.
They're going through,
and we're
teenage
struggling.
years. Oh,
Right.
exactly.
You know.
And, one thing that, we mentioned the friend support, and one thing that you share too is talking with other families. And the advice, I know you shared a story about a husband and wife. What do you tend to see in some of those stories that those who are able to more successfully move ahead versus those who may continue to struggle?
Well, I went through a lot of meetings, at the rehabs and everything that it was with other parents, and all the stories were the same.
Yeah.
And you think you're by yourself and no one else is going through that, where in reality, a lot more people are. I'm pretty vocal about our journey. So I've had a lot of friends of friends contact me, reach out, which I love.
Yes.
And so I've had some families where I've jumped on phone calls with them, and, they were right where we were, thinking that, oh, this isn't going to blow up. This is just a phase, My 13-year-old smoking pot. It'll just be a phase. It's not a gateway drug. It's not and that drives me nuts, because
They think it's
addiction
just pot.
Right. Addiction's addiction. It doesn't matter. Everything's a gateway to kids, right? But as parents, you need to be on the same page. And even if you're going through a divorce, even if it's tough, the main thing is, you just have to be on the same page and show the kids support, because they see everything.
A unified front.
Yeah. They know if you two don't agree. They know that, and they'll exploit it because they're master manipulators, right?
They're playing, yeah.
And that's Ethan. I mean, addiction is, the mental health aspect of it.
Yeah.
They push the boundaries of everything. And if you don't stand firm and just say, this is not going to happen, you can't do that, as opposed to, oh, is that going to make you feel better? Will you be better? That shit doesn't work.
Well, and so Ethan being, coming from an athlete, then finding his way with this other friend group, what was he feeling about himself during that change? Did you notice of how he walked or carried himself, and what he thought about himself during that period of time?
Yeah, he always had a really good front, always laughing, always doing jokes, which, probably was a complete mask of what was probably going on. I don't know if you remember, and there was a kind of a scandal at Highlands Church. Mm-hmm. There was a kid named Christian that was a volunteer from another church in Phoenix, that we had some next door neighbors on our street across from Pinnacle Peak Mill, and he babysat for the kids, and they found him videotaping the little boys. Arrested. He's still in
different scandal with one of the pastors. Oh, wow.
He was still doing that. He had gotten arrested at a church in Phoenix and somehow went to Highlands Church, who was running the Wednesday night boys program, and they didn't do a background check. And he abused some kids in our neighborhood, and they were all together all the time. And we would talk to Ethan about it, and Carson, and he would wrestle with us, pin us on the ground, but he never touched us. And I still don't know to this day if it's true. I don't know if the boys were too afraid to tell us, but the family that were our very good friends literally packed their house up and moved within 48 hours. Gone, never heard from ever again. They had 4 little kids, and swept under the rug. Kid went to jail. He's still in jail, I think.
Well,
but
there was a situation we had at my kids' old school.
Yeah.
When I went to the about a boy who came and decided to start giving my daughter attention. When we learned that, the school basically told me if I didn't like how they were handling it, I could leave. I had 3 kids, and it was a small Christian school.
Yeah.
So those things get brushed under the rug, and people don't realize those. In those moments, and then I'll get back on track on this, but as you and I spoke about, is why I always have always adored you, is you always stand up. You don't, it's not for your own interest. It's for everybody's interest. Sure. And so few people do that. And that's why I've always, one of the many things of why I've always respected you, because in that moment when I was going through something like that, thinking about all these other kids, nobody else would stand alongside us.
Right. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense.
But we watch it and we see it, and we both seen it firsthand.
Yes.
I regret a lot of things I've done in my life. The one thing I don't regret is ever just standing up for what I believe in.
100%.
Right.
So I'm going to share, and I asked you if I could share this, because you posted something in 2019. You wrote that I think you're still okay with me sharing. Mm-hmm. It says, sometimes in life you come across someone who makes you proud. That's my son, Ethan. He celebrated 6 months sober yesterday. He could have given up. He didn't. He battles on day by day. He's tough, and he is a good, kind kid. Life is short and worth living for. How does that make you feel? Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, of course. I still feel that way.
Yeah.
And that was in real time.
Yeah.
I think towards the end, maybe when we wrote that, the self-awareness with everybody. It's pretty significant.
Yeah.
Because we had been going through it for so long. And I had talked to you. I mean, I think he was 20 facilities. 20
facilities. When you told me that, I knew it was significant. And this was to think about insurance not covering things, them calling you to pick you up, or pick your son up when he clearly needs assistance. If you could share some of those,
the
20 times.
First couple rehabs were, it's going on everywhere. So you've got Banner, and they all have beds, but we would take our son to a rehab, and we don't have any beds. And then they would call around. If we were lucky, they would try to help us. But it was just a matter of, we didn't know where to go and what to do. He was an amazing kid. But he just, we don't know where to go. Yeah. And we didn't know what to do. We talked about, after getting kicked out of Pinnacle, we sent him to another school, and he was using drugs there and passed out. And they just called us up and said, come pick your kid up. He's on drugs and he's no longer can come to school. And we went to the office. There was no one there waiting for us. It was just him sitting there. And
that just amazes me.
Carry him out of the place. And I was with my 80-year-old mother to pick him up. Right? Awful.
I just couldn't even imagine to not have any resource. And when we talk about the schools and where money is going, I was shocked to know they had not a single resource for a family going through this type of challenges.
Like, hand me a pamphlet.
A pamphlet.
And say, at the minimum.
Oh, they didn't hand you a pamphlet.
No, I was saying, just hand me a pamphlet. Do something. And, I'm sure it's better now because I think...
Not My Kid has been doing a lot of work, fantastic work. And
fantastic.
They're a great group of people. So anyone struggling, I think, call Not My Kid, because they are a wonderful organization.
Amazing. There are so many great organizations, especially now. One thing that I've made a big effort is to try to donate my time, donate money to as many organizations here in town, because there's some really great, significant amount Christian-based, which is great. I mean, AA is a Christian-based, and these sober living homes are amazing. I've got a couple friends. I've gotten to be friends with a couple guys that Ethan lived with. You're in a group of 16 people living in a 2,000 square foot house. They're there to support each other. And, there's a couple towns here that don't want sober living homes in their neighborhood. And these are people just trying
to recover,
to live. Yeah. And they're not bad people. They're they're addicted. Yeah. And it's a disease.
And those are some of the misconceptions.
Oh, for sure.
People are very, very quick to judge. And that's part of when I called you, reach out to you about talking about Ethan's story, is for people to listen, because I've got a beautiful network of people, but I also know a lot of my network too has probably never been exposed to this. And I want people to see, like, this is in your backyard. This is your friend. This is your neighbor.
Sure.
And, and we talked about, Ethan would go through, he battled for 6 years, and he would go into this recovery in about 9-month period. There was lots of triggers that you shared. And at the time in 2020 during COVID, is that when he moved?
Yeah. So the last time we got a phone call in the middle of the night from Ethan saying, I don't know where I'm at. He was driving around and he was clearly high on drugs, and we could track him and where are you? And he was buying drugs somewhere. And as I was on the phone with him, he got pulled over and I could hear the police officer talking, and then the phone got disconnected. So we had no idea what was going on.
Oh, wow.
So got arrested, DUI, I think is what it was. And we couldn't send him anywhere more in Arizona because we didn't have any other choices, right? We felt like
20 times,
we've already been to every place. So we sent him to Florida, lived in a sober living home, thought, let's get him out of town. We had never done that. We actually had one quick story. We sent him to a wilderness camp in Wyoming. Insurance wouldn't cover it. It's $30,000 cash.
I've actually heard about this. But
they had a thing where they could come and kidnap the kid and take him, but he voluntarily went.
Yeah.
He was gone for 3 months. It was amazing. I mean, it was absolutely stunningly beautiful lake, and they did things. We went to his graduation. It was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, it was.
I think there was a show that highlighted this.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There were 20 kids there, all same age. We brought him back home. He used in 2 days. 2 days. That's how quick it was.
And you had said triggers would be as simply as having aluminum foil in the home.
Saw aluminum foil. Leftovers in aluminum foil, open the refrigerator, was a trigger for him. So, there's a lot of avenues to do. They might not all work, but at least there is more now for families. Yeah.
And now, as it's evolved, probably you're noticing and recognizing things that maybe someone going through the fog may not see.
Sure.
So like don't see something right in front of you, but now that you're at this stage, you're able to have a clear head to say, this is something you should focus on as a family. And so.
Yeah, I mean, I wish, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but if I would have had someone that I could have talked to that went through it or gone through it. I have friends. I probably have I've got a great group of friends that live in Chicago, and they read my post to their kids. They talk about my kids.
Yes. Yep.
So it's really, and those are families who kids aren't going through something.
Yeah.
And they're showing them and teaching them, this is what you could do. This is just talk, everyone loves you. I mean, the kids knew they were loved.
Yeah.
These kids aren't bad kids. They just make a mistake. No. And I mean, Ethan and Carson, I guarantee, were together when they both tried drugs for the first time. One never did it again, and one went down a different path.
Wow.
So. Well,
I think, when I always talk, I still, when I say John, it's like Ethan and Carson's dad, I think that's who you are. And
sure.
I think that's important.
That's who I'll always be.
Of course. So 2020 was a year with COVID.
Yep.
And then Ethan had you'd moved him to Florida to get help. And then October.
And was doing great. Yep. So me and Carson went and visited him 2 months before. I had my best friend from high school lived right down the street from Ethan. Mm-hmm. So we stayed at his parents' house and we saw Ethan, and we took him out every single day.
I think I saw a picture of you guys at a restaurant or something together.
So quick funny story. Ethan's covered in tattoos, and that's a lot of addicts do that. And I get it because it's a different addiction. And we always had this agreement that he could always get as many tattoos as he wanted, but nothing a neck above.
Okay.
And nothing on his hands. And get off the airplane, and he meets, and he's dressed. That's the one thing I loved about Ethan is he was always dressed.
Sharp.
Yeah. And great looking kid, big kid, 6'2", 6'3", and has neck tattoos. And I said, those better be fake.
I was as you were talking, I'm like, I thought I saw him with neck tattoos.
Those better be fake. And he's like, just looks at me, and I FaceTime his mom, and I show her, and all you could hear is her screaming. And it's too late. They don't come off. And so we went to dinner we went to a beautiful dinner on the lake in some restaurant, and we were at the bar, and Ethan didn't drink. He didn't drink, and Carson doesn't either. And I ordered a drink at the bar, and really good looking girl I'm like, can you take a picture of us three? And which is one of my last pictures I ever took with him, and it was one of my favorite. Yeah. And after she took the picture, and she said to him, I really like your tattoos. And I went, what did you say? And he just smiled, knowing, good looking kid.
Oh, yeah.
But they
both are.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
So he was in a sober living Florida, doing great. And the night before, we went to the beach, and I wanted him to come home. At the time, we owned a little Greek restaurant that was attached to our golf store called Johnny's Greek that he worked at. Yeah. And I said, I want to give you the restaurant. It's yours. You got to come home right now. Oh, wow. And that was probably 8.5 months. And he was very self-aware of every 9 months.
Yeah.
And so I said to him, the 9-month anniversary, 9 months is coming up, not anniversary, but said, you got to be careful. Yeah. Because that's when so come home now. And he said, no, I made my mom a promise. Sorry.
Of course, take as much time as you need.
That he wanted to be a year sober. So I don't know if he ever really got there. He might have told us he did, yes, but he never did. And I respected that because he had a goal, and he was doing so good.
And he was working. And
yes, he was a manager. Manager at a little Pizza Hut Express, which he loved. But he was... I woke up one day. This was probably 3 weeks before... he overdosed. A bunch of Facebook messages from people I don't know. Well, he got in a fight with a girl on Facebook that lived here in North Scottsdale from Florida, who was saying some mean things to one of his friends, and he stuck up for her. But he said some stuff that wasn't nice or appropriate. And I called him and said, you need to take that post down, and you can't talk to people like that. You're not a kid. I'm getting stuff from it. You're 3,000 miles away. You can't do that. Yeah. Well, we argued, and I literally just said to him, we're going to take a break, me and you. I'm not going to talk to you anymore for a while. I'm going to block you. Because he got nasty to me, and that wasn't like him normally. Yeah. And so I'm going to block you. I don't want to talk to you. I love you, but... Yeah.
That's
what you're doing, right? And I've never done that before. I was always there, and I just said, I'm not doing this anymore. You're almost 21, and you can't talk to people and say things like that. Yeah. It's affecting everyone's lives. And I go, I'm just done with your shit. Yeah. So we're going to take a break. Yeah. Well, that was the last time we ever talked.
It has to be hard.
That's probably the hardest part about it, is that because he tried to reach out a couple times, and I just ignored him. Yeah. And but I thought it was the right thing to do. Yeah. And
having gone through 6 years, I don't think there is a right thing. Right. It's what you feel in the moment, and you had unconditional love for him. Right. So for you, it was the right thing. And there's no way he didn't know you always were there. Yeah. So I think even though you wouldn't maybe pick up a phone call, I know he knew you always there.
Sure.
So when you knew, then you got a call about... was it from his manager or?
No, from his mom. I was interviewing a person at work, and my phone kept ringing. It was my ex-wife, and I didn't really want to talk to her. So I just kind of ignored it. And then I saw a text message that said, Ethan overdosed again. It might've been your fucking kid, Ethan overdosed again. She was upset, right?
Some little color.
So I got up, excused myself from the interview, and went in the back office and called her. And we didn't know how bad it was because he had overdosed 6 other times. And we would go to the hospital, and he'd be sitting up and be like, get me out of this place. So we just thought it's going to be good. So I called Brigid and said, we're going to Fort Lauderdale. I just booked the tickets. Pack your swimsuit. We're going to go to the beach. Yeah. And so we might as well make a trip out of it, thinking he was okay. And we didn't. Probably a couple hours went by, and then the doctor finally called me and just said, he's unconscious. We think there's brain activity, but And so I'm like, all right, well, he'll wake up soon. And
Yeah.
I said, what do you think we should do? And he's like, well, I could hear him big sigh, and he goes, if it was my kid, I'd be here right now.
I can only imagine what you were feeling in that moment, and having gone through 6 years.
So shit got really serious really fast. Yeah. So my ex flew out there. We got there, and he's in West Palm Beach, which is a retirement community. So in the ICU, there were, I think, 8 beds, 7 people over the age of 85, and a 20-year-old. So during COVID. So
because this was October 2020.
Yeah, thank God it was Florida. Or Arizona. Yeah. So we went into the room, and he was, he was at work. He was coming home the next morning for a visit. It was his grandparents, I think, my ex-wife's parents' 60th wedding anniversary or something like that. So he was coming home and decided to go in the bathroom and shoot up one last time before he came home. And the policy at the restaurant was they weren't allowed to close by themselves. Well, he sent someone home knowing that. So he sat in the bathroom Indian style and put his headphones in and overdosed. So it got a bad batch. And that night, I think it was 5 people, including him, overdosed, but everyone else was with someone. So they were all walked out of the hospital. And so they opened the restaurant at 10 a.m. and all the lights were on, and they went in the bathroom and found him, called the paramedics, and he was still alive. But
well, and at that point too, when you learned all that, you and Bridget are coming, and you start calling family.
Yeah. So we get to the hospital, and the administrators, when we get to the room, said one person at a time, and we said that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We're just gonna, and so we had to call my parents, who were really, really close with Ethan. We had actually sent Ethan to live with my parents in Chicago because my whole family's there, and they were all incredible. And he did great there, but he's still using. But so my parents flew out right away, and we had to then call Carson, which was a tough phone call.
I can only imagine, John.
And then had to call. My ex-wife didn't want to tell her parents, so I had to call her parents, who I love to death, and just said, if you want to see your grandson alive, you're going to have to come right now. So
everyone came out to Florida.
Which was amazing, which was great. Yeah. So it was probably the first time we had all been in a room since I got married. But it was a tough, we were with them every single day. We don't tell very many people, or I might have posted it once, but they found him sitting in Indian style. Mm-hmm. So all the circulation was gone.
I didn't realize that till today.
Yeah. So I had to have his legs amputated. So, it was very interesting because it's, being married to a doctor, some doctors don't have great bedside manner.
Yeah.
And we had an older doctor who came in and, told us our son was dead and that we should give up. And that was the first day. And so that was tough. And, my ex-wife doesn't mince words, so she told me to get the fuck out of the room. But so we sat with him for 6 days, lots of movements.
Yeah.
We kept hope.
Yeah.
And, it probably wasn't the smartest thing in the world to do, but we didn't really know what else to do. We had a great doctor who did the amputation, who a year and a half before had lost his 20-year-old kid to drugs.
So understood what that meant.
So he just kind of put his arm around me and sat me down and said, your son's probably not coming back. And so we set up with the University of Miami, organ donors, all that stuff. So it was really, towards the end, it was tough, but you felt that he was an organ donor, so he knew something like that would happen someday. And that's kind of how it.
Well, and then, for that, at that point too, having everyone there and being together. I've been with two people that are very dear to me. I can only imagine what it'd be as a child when they're at their final stages. And
our friends that, I may not interrupt you, our friends that we stayed with, my best friend's parents, not a very religious guy. They came every day to the hospital.
Oh, I love that.
Read us Bibles.
Yes.
Verses. Every day gave me a manila folder of verses and stuff he wanted me to read. I spent a tremendous amount of time in the little church in the hospital, which when you're by yourself and reading, and that got us through it. Got us through it.
There, when Pat's cancer had come back, and Patrick, when he passed of melanoma 6 months before Ethan passed, he, the night of his passing, I just pick random pages, and I was holding that book, the Jesus Calling book, and I would just go to random pages and read a quote or the message or the Bible verse. And after he passed, his wife let me keep the book, and it's the most cherished thing I have.
Oh, sure.
And there was one tab that was done, and on one side is the most perfect message for our son, and the other is the most perfect message for me. And it's just the verses and everything just speaks volume. So
Sure.
I love that faith played a role, because for me that was like the foundation for us as well. Is there anything that you've learned about grief that surprised you?
That there's lots of stages.
Yeah.
Initially it's the shock and the just broken heart and just can't stop crying. And then, the one thing that was probably the most helpful thing is, reading about grief, on all the certain stages, anger and blame. And we went through, it's incredibly accurate.
Yeah.
There was a book, I think by a woman named Laura Lynn Jackson, Johnson or Jackson, called Signs.
I do have that book.
It's awesome.
Yes. I do know that book.
Randomly, someone I'm quote unquote friends with on Instagram, woman sent me the book from nowhere because her father had passed away and she loved the book. And I was struggling because I hadn't seen any signs and I was looking for them like crazy. And the book is amazing. I've given it probably to 4 or 5 of my friends. The community in North Scottsdale where Ethan and Carson grew up, I think Ethan has lost like 5 or 6 of his friends.
Oh my goodness.
There's a young man named Alex Victory that was one of Ethan's best friends who we had lost. Dylan Payton, another that we're all really close. And I know there's 3 more that I'm forgetting the names, but the amount of funerals that we've gone through and is tough when it's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
What conversations would you say for parents listening today that they should be having earlier with their children?
Realistic conversations. Like, we know, you just can't sugarcoat stuff.
Yeah.
The best way to do that is not to sugarcoat anything.
Well, and I think, after it too, his passing, I think one of the things you did was uncovering his writings and that he wrote. And you have, in one thing, if anyone listening has a way, because you have his phone and his laptop to get through it because of all the legal effects. So anyone listening who's able for John to be able to get access to his phone and laptop, please message me. But what has this journey taught you about what really matters?
Literally love, hope, understanding. Yeah. Understanding probably is just knowing that it's okay. Yeah. No one wishes for this journey to happen to them. Yeah. No one's alone. There are people out there that you don't. Strangers being kind to you is amazing. Yeah. And it's just a matter of just telling talking about your feelings, talking to your kids about life and reality. And, you know, we all want to believe that this would never happen to us. I mean, we come from a great family, great grandparents, great parents, and it's just random, you know?
Well, in closing, it's a hard one for me to get out. Because I do think those who passed are still with us.
For sure.
But if Ethan, if you could imagine Ethan listening to this entire conversation, what would you want him to know?
That we loved him no matter what, but he knew that.
Yeah.
That, you know, we made just as many mistakes and nobody's perfect. And sometimes, you know, God just has a different plan for you.
Well, thank you for this.
Yeah. Thanks for making me cry.
I know, me cry. This is beautiful. And, you know, just in closing, for everyone, just a simple challenge is reach out to someone.
For sure.
Don't go
100%.
Don't avoid people going through challenges. And
everyone's struggling.
Everyone's struggling. And if today's conversation touched you, please share it. Also follow the Lightwork podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. And in closing, you know, for those listening, just go spread your light.
Summer's a gift. The gift of days that last a little longer. A brighter state of mind. So gift yourself a new Kia at the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. With specially tagged vehicles including the Sorrento, Sportage, Carnival, as well as the Niro Hybrid. All backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. So the gift of summer can keep on giving for summers to come. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Event ends 7/6/26. See dealer for warranty details.